The global insurtech market size is valued at $2.7 billion US dollars in 2020. It's expected to expand at the compounding annual growth rate of about 50% for this coming decade. The increasing need for digitization of the insurance services is expected to propel the market growth. Welcome, I'm Vijay Tirathrai, and I'm your host for this VCTV show, Founders Insights. In this episode, I have two founders who will share further insights into the insurtech industry. My first guest is someone who is passionate about the potential for technology to improve the millions of lives across Middle East as far as insurance is concerned. Talene Bahanian is a co-founder of Felix Technologies, an insurtech startup that is based in Dubai. Talene started a career 15 years ago as a life insurance advisor. Then, when she was headhunted to assist a group of investors to make an acquisition and a turnaround of an insurance brokerage company, she led that company for 7 years and grew it to $80 million in sales. That was not it. In 2017, Talene co-founded her company with Edmund Husseini, who with her have built an incredible technology company. To talk more on this, I'd like to welcome now Talene onto the studio to talk to us. Talene, welcome.
Hi, Vijay. Thank you for having me today.
So let's begin. Tell us a little bit about Felix Technology and what it does.
Great. So at Felix, we've built a software platform to help the insurance ecosystem deliver digital customer experiences. And so we basically help individual customers. We give them a software platform for them to be able to research, manage, and purchase their insurance products. So if we look at the insurance industry today, specifically in our region, the insurance industry is filled with complicated products, and it's super frustrating to purchase insurance. And so with our solution, we hope to crack that problem.
Now, I've learned from you that the industry is destined for changes. I mean, big changes on the horizon as we can see it. And you wanted to be in the forefront of those changes. Speak to us about the disruption that you think is going to be taking place in the industry, particularly for the consumer side. And why is it important now?
Okay, so there's disruption happening on multiple levels. The two main areas of disruption is in the product development and in the distribution of insurance. So we all know that insurance products are built on data, and those companies with better data will be able to create better insurance products. Today, digital platforms like Amazon, Google, Facebook have so much consumer data that they themselves may be able to create better insurance products than insurance companies themselves can. So if you look at it from a driving perspective, the automotive industry, who has all of your driving data? So it's the vehicle manufacturers like Tesla, GM, BMW, and others. And now these guys are in a better position to disrupt the traditional insurers when it comes to auto insurance. They can sell cars that come bundled in with insurance coverage. And now if we look at the health data, right? More and more of products such as your Apple Watch, your Garmin watch, Fitbit. So companies like Apple, Google, Fitbit, Garmin, they're collecting all your health data, and they themselves may be able to provide you with more tailored health coverage based on your needs versus a one-size-fits-all insurance products that the insurance companies sell. So we see disruption happening on those levels. Yeah.
It seems to me that you speak to data quite a bit, and I think for like never before, you can actually harness that data in terms of consumer pattern, as well as bringing cross-industry players. You mentioned about Apple, for example, to health providers as another example, and you can actually fertilize not just the ideation of technology, but also you can actually on-sell and create value to new industry players. So is that what Felix is trying to attempt to do in the marketplace?
Yeah, so today we're actually tackling the distribution side of insurance. So if we look at our region, the insurance products are very complex, and the distribution networks in the Middle East are very fragmented, right? And this is why insurance penetration is very low, and a lot of the population are extremely underinsured and overexposed to risks. And so we're solving this by creating digital platforms that make it really simple for people to find the right insurance, to buy the insurance online, and to be able to manage all of their insurance requirements digitally. And so today we're not focusing on the product development, but more so on the distribution side of insurance to help get the insurance penetration rates up.
Talin, you've been very involved in the insurance industry for over a decade, and you're now building a tech startup which is solving these problems in the distribution side of the insurance marketplace. But you've also built and scaled up an insurance brokerage. Speak to us about your challenges in dealing with either of these two businesses, which are unique in itself, but what are the challenges that you are facing today in the insurance sector?
So we've actually tackled the software development side on both the B2B and the B2C side. And now when we see, from our experience, the B2B selling to companies, the sales process, the timelines are extremely long. There are so many stakeholders involved in the decision-making process. And for us to be able to monetize that segment, it's going to take a very long time, right? And as a startup, we need to see revenues almost immediately. We need to see the returns on our investments quite quickly. We don't have 5 to 10 years to wait, right? And so when we have explored, and we are currently exploring a B2C model, we see that consumers today are very hungry for new experiences and services, and they are ready to spend their money, and the decision-making process is actually very short. We can sell an insurance policy in 2 weeks versus a year and a half, right? And so we feel that today it is the right time for us to go direct to consumer and start offering consumers the digital platform for them to be able to use directly versus getting to them via intermediaries.
Why is it so difficult to build a B2B business, particularly here in the Middle East, as opposed to going for the B2C route?
I think it's because, in our experience, at a company, there are many stakeholders involved in the decision-making process. And a lot of these stakeholders, they view their jobs at risk, especially when it comes time to look at solutions that digitize back office workflows and digitize the customer experiences. And for them, they want to hold on to their jobs. And therefore, there are a lot of companies that we've spoken to where you would have the owners who are ready to purchase the solution, but then all of their managers that work at the company, they find reasons as to why the solution cannot work. And so that experience in itself for us, we cannot keep our success in the hands of these companies anymore. We need to own our success, and we need to really be in charge of our future. And this is why we have to go direct to consumer and offer the consumers directly that experience that they need.
Right, very insightful there. Talin, you've been a venture-backed company, and you had a few international investors such as Techstars, to name a few, and you raised, I believe, 1.6 million so far, yes. And you're continuing to raise more money. What has been the most painful lesson for you as an entrepreneur, looking back, that you think is noteworthy that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, so I think, and this is something that we speak quite a bit about. Today, if you're looking at building a solution for either a consumer or a business, you have to look at the problem that you're trying to solve. Now, and you should look at your customer base. Now, if your customer base is a person or a company, and they have a big enough of a problem, and the simple solution doesn't exist for that problem, they will find ways to solve that problem, even if the solution that they are finding, even if the solution they find is hacked together and isn't very elegant. And if they find these, run around ways to solving their problem, then this is a problem worth you as a company finding a solution for, right? And now if these people, if this consumer base isn't really finding weird ways in which to solve their problem, then maybe there isn't really a business for you there to pursue.
Right. Talin, that's very elegantly put. I am very excited for you in the way that you and Edmund are building Felix. You're based out of Dubai, and I'm sure that the disruption that's taking place is well overdue, and I'm sure you'll do very successful. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Vijay.
And I'll hope to meet you in person in Dubai.
Thank you very much, Vijay. Have a good day. Bye.
That was Talin Wahanyan of Felix Technologies. What has a telco in Myanmar valued at $700 million and a medical claims management company in Saudi Arabia have in common? Frankly, nothing, except there is an instinctive leader by the name of Karim Dakki, who has spent most of his career in private equity and as a CFO in various industries. My next guest, Karim, is the co-founder and CEO of KLAIM.ai, which is a claims management software management company for the medical industry. So it is my pleasure to have Karim to join us this afternoon. Karim, welcome.
Hi, Vijay. Thanks very much, Vijay, and great to see you again, and thanks for having me.
So, Karim, I want to begin with if you can just speak to us, what is KLAIM.ai is all about, and in the simplest description.
Well, look, Talin and Felix are trying to solve a B2C problem in the insurance space. We are trying to solve a B2B problem on the insurance space. So when you and I go to the doctor, we present our medical insurance card. We pay a small portion of the fee, and the rest is supposed to come from the insurance company to the healthcare provider who provides the service. Now, in order for them to claim that money, they need to submit medical claims. And it is inherently in the interest of the insurance company to not pay. So they're going to find excuses. They're going to make the process difficult. They're going to delay the payments. And what KLAIM is trying to do is really to try to bring the battle to a level playing field for the healthcare providers to fight, these behaviors from insurance companies.
So that's very exciting. You're present in Abu Dhabi, UAE, I should say, as well as in Saudi Arabia. So speak to us about the wider disruption that you think that's happening in your industry that has never been attempted to be solved, and why is it important now that you are looking at this with such enthusiasm?
Well, look, the key is really to be able to bring on board in a cohesive manner both insurance companies on one side and the healthcare providers on the other one. Now you have multiple insurance companies, you have multiple providers, each one use a different system and different way of doing things. And obviously getting any sort of digitalization between any party becomes extremely difficult, unless the government mandates that everybody is going to use the same way of talking to each other and the common platform. This is what happened back in 2012 in the UAE, and that's exactly what is happening right now in Saudi, Oman, and in Egypt. So because the government is doing the hard part of forcing everybody to digitalize, there is a tremendous opportunity for players like us that can piggyback on this effort of the government.
So is this something that you might refer to what we call a national pipeline, that everyone gets integrated into one platform that you can actually draw data from various ecosystem players?
Yeah, well, look, the key to healthcare, given the complexity of the data, is, and again, that's, I think, back to what Talin was saying, is data is really key. And what we are trying to do is to play on the data to be able to take advantage of it. Like a Facebook that manages and the data on the consumer side, we do take advantage of some medical data to take an advantage of it. So that's exactly what we are trying to do. In order for that to happen, you need the government also to have some sort of regulatory oversight. They are looking at digitalizing these communication protocols, and they put in place what is being referred to as health information exchanges. So now they can exchange financial information related to claims, which is what we specialize in, or they are more and more seeing the need of having a universal health information medical records exchange. And this is something that also the UAE government has started putting in place.
Karim, I have to note that since you've launched your company in December 2020, you have an incredible pipeline of claims worth about $180 million. That's about over 3 million claims in your system. You've signed your first deal in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for $2 million. The progress has been phenomenal in the last 5 months. What do you see are the challenges in the business development across the Middle East, given that it's not an even marketplace, if I would say?
I mean, when you talk about innovation and change, Vijay, actually you're talking about, I mean, the healthcare industry is also ripe for change. So whether we look at it from a healthcare perspective or from an insurance perspective, in both cases, these industries are very conservative in nature, and therefore adoption to change and the willingness to adopt to change is very cautious. So I believe that our challenge is not so much that there is a massive problem to solve, and the players within the industry see that there is a problem to solve. It's more about accepting that they need to change and embracing the change. So for us, we need to be smart in making sure that in the way we onboard customers, in the way we present things, we don't portray ourselves as being disruptive, but rather as complementary and really helping them solve a problem that they are looking to solve. And the current solutions are not adequate for them to solve this problem.
Right. All right. That's very insightful. Now, in the past 12 weeks, in a very short space of time, you've actually closed raising $1 million US. And in fact, from what I understand, you've been oversubscribed. And now you're considering to actually open up your seed round to perhaps 2 million or more. That's a pretty impressive track record. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the fundraising, but I understand that your business model is unique, that you actually have the equity side of the business, but you also have the debt side, which performs more like a factoring function. Could you speak to us a little bit about the financials around the money you raise, and why do you have these two economic engines to run as successful as KLAIM.ai?
Sure. So, I mean, when insurance companies, decide not to pay claims, that impacts the P&L of the healthcare providers. And when they decide to delay the payments, it impacts the cash flow. So, solutions to deal with P&L and solutions to deal with cash flows are very different. And nobody has really addressed both together, which is what KLAIM is all about. This ability to not only help on the P&L side, but also on the cash flow side, healthcare providers. So for that, we put in place a technology platform that uses, the advanced machine learning techniques, etc., to help the providers on one hand. But on the other hand, we need to give them, money that the insurance companies are not giving them on time. And for that, we need a special vehicle that acts almost like a bank without it being a bank. So for that, we need to build the technology, that any software company would do in the medical space, but we also need to build the technology that a mini bank would do as well. So that's why given the demand that we see in the market, we figured out that actually we need more than what we currently raised. So not only to expand our product roadmap, but also our geographical roadmap, given what's happening right now in Saudi.
Very interesting. So you've been pretty much in the corporate world as a private equity player. You built a company in Myanmar. Today you're an entrepreneur. What has been the one most painful lesson you've learned being an entrepreneur that is worthwhile sharing?
Talent. I think that's the most important lesson. When you operate in very reputable consulting firms or in the private equity space, these companies tend to hire people from top-notch blue chip universities. They go through a very strong curriculum, and within these organizations, the way the pyramid is being built, etc., the productivity and the intellectual powerhouse is very strong. So you tend to work a lot with people that are extremely smart, that can work intense hours, very committed. And then when you get into the the tech scene, and as an entrepreneur, you don't have necessarily the means, you don't have the reputation, you don't have, and then you got used to this level of talent around you that is not necessarily available. So I feel that the hardest part is to get that talent, but that talent is also very important, because when you have nothing, you have a blank slate, you need a lot of proactivity, you need a lot of intellectual to come up with innovative solution, and I feel that that's the challenge that we've been facing, and I think that's the challenge that most of the entrepreneurs will feel in general.
Yeah, essentially, you like every other startup entrepreneur, Karim, will have to deal with multitasking on a day-to-day basis, right? And just because you are scarce with resource and you have to hustle just to make the day go through. So with that, I want to thank you for being on the show today. I wish you all the very best on your closing your seed round, and we hope to see you succeed. Thanks, Karim.
Thank you, Vijay. Thanks for you.
So that was Karim Dakki, the CEO and co-founder of KLAIM.ai, based in Abu Dhabi. Now, in the Middle East and North African region, we've seen over $1 billion worth of investments in startups just in the past 12 months, and that represents close to about 500 deals. This is in part spurred by the emergence of new VCs, as well as state-funded contributions across different countries in the Middle East region. And we will continue to see a lot more increased activities as our funding goes. To understand this more, I'd like to bring on my next guest, who started out as a developer, and over the last 20 years has built an experience as an entrepreneur, a corporate development M&A expert, professional, and also an early stage tech investor today. He's currently building his next fund. And to talk more about this, it is now my pleasure to bring on stage Asher Siddiqui. Welcome, Asher. How are you doing today?
Hi, Vijay. Pleasure to be here. I'm good, thanks.
Great. You're based in Dubai, and it's a great place to be today. Tell us more about your new venture that you're raising, and what primarily is the focus of this new venture fund?
So Sukna Ventures is a venture studio and venture fund based in Riyadh, but we have a regional focus. My co-founders of the firm are Walid Al-Ballah, who is one of the co-founding GPs of STV, which is, as you know, one of the largest funds in the region. Faris Pardesi, who is actually the founder of the venture studio. He's an entrepreneur, banker, and other people include Marvin Liao, who is the person that actually built our 500 Startups flagship accelerator in San Francisco, where I was previous to Sukna. And so the opportunity that we see in the region is that there are a lot of white spaces in this region. So we've seen e-commerce and logistics and a lot of the obvious consumer plays sort of play out. But what we're seeing now is the ecosystem starting to mature. And as it matures, we're seeing a lot of demand and appetite for enterprise B2B. So it was interesting to hear some of the earlier speakers talk about their challenges that they had in the B2B space. And I agree with them that there are significant challenges in the B2B space, but we do think that the B2B software space is growing, and the customers and partners are becoming more comfortable with B2B software and working with startups. So anyway, if you want to know more about Sukna Ventures, please check out our website. And,
I think this is exciting because we do say a lot of opportunities for deal flows emerging, but I'm very curious if you can just expand on that. What specific sector are you looking at to invest in? What is it? What stage of the businesses, and what generally will be a ticket size?
Yeah, so we're an early stage fund. So we're starting out at formation stage to Series A. So really, our core is a formation and seed, and then some Series A. So it's very, very early stage. We do believe that there's a gap in the market. In terms of checks, we intend to write significant checks to take significant ownership and lead positions, and really provide a lot more help and support. In terms of the sectors, we're sector agnostic, but we're looking for white spaces. So I mean, fintech and insurtech are some areas where we see a huge. I mean, this is a huge potential for innovation in this space. So this is one example of the types of spaces that we're going to be looking at. We're also looking at cloud communications, customer engagement. So there's a lot of use cases here in the B2B side that we're quite excited about.
Fantastic. And Asher, you've served in several capacities in VCs in San Francisco, as well as here in the Middle East. You've served on numerous boards of companies that you have invested in parts of Europe, the US, and of course here in the Middle East as well. What are the key differences when you talk about the VCs that operate in these three regions?
So I think how I'd like to answer that question is I'd provide a little bit more context to it, because if you just provide this sort of the standard statement, it sounds unfair to the region. But the US is a very developed venture ecosystem, and so because of the fact that it's such a developed ecosystem, you find a huge amount of capital available. You find a huge amount of a variety of venture firms, from solo micro VCs to operator VCs to the big branded sort of firms. And there's a wide spectrum. And Europe is becoming a very interesting ecosystem. Huge amount of a number of VCs. The challenge historically has been in the region is that there haven't, to be honest, there's been literally a handful of VCs in the region over the last since 2010, since I've been sort of involved in the ecosystem, a handful of VCs. There's just not enough capital. There's just not a lot of players involved. What I'm actually quite excited about, and that is actually partly because of Sukna Ventures, but partly just because of the ecosystem as a whole, is that the ecosystem is developing. The government support that you saw in the US and that you saw in the European ecosystems, we now see here. So the governments are getting involved in supporting and developing the venture ecosystem, providing capital and support. What that has led to is some fantastic new emerging VC funds, a lot of them that are in the ecosystem, and we want to play in that ecosystem as well. So we believe that this is a collaborative ecosystem. We're an operator VC. So one of the things that we found that was missing in the ecosystem was a number of seasoned, experienced operators who have been operators, who have been investors, and can provide more than just capital to the startups in the region. So we can provide access to our network, access to our own experiences, and a lot more mentorship, coach, a lot of help on the product side, on the marketing side. So we believe that this is something that's missing in the region, which is why I'm really excited about Sukna Ventures, because we're basically three GPs and 4 IC members, and all of us come from significant sort of operator backgrounds.
And you're right, and I can testify to the involvement of governments in the regions, really being a catalyst for growth in the venture capital space. Take example, in my capacity as the managing director at Techstars, we have a partnership with Mubadala Investment Company, one of the top small wealth funds in the world, investing through the likes of Hub 71 in Abu Dhabi, and then you have Riyadh, where we've just launched the Ministry of ICT, basically supporting the program through investments and as well as resources. So we see that happening across the region. Now, in the couple of minutes that we have, let's just quickly talk about company valuations. I think a lot of the founders will be keen. What are the mechanics that you apply in deriving a fair valuation?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because as we know, early stage startup valuation is more art than science, and to be honest, even when you look at company valuations, it's really a lot of art wrapped up in science. So this is a tough one. What I would say is that without going into the sort of the technical details, because we don't have the time for that, maybe what I'll do is I'll just touch upon some of the key things that that bother me when it comes to startup valuation. So look, from a VC perspective, I have a 5 to 10 year horizon where I need to figure out whether I'm going to invest in a company and whether I'm going to get sort of a significant outcome from this in the next sort of 7 to 10 years, right? So what I'm looking for is, what is the potential of this business to grow and become a sizable business? So I'm looking at, the market, the potential addressable market, the potential for that addressable market to grow, what other ancillary markets there are. So, the total, how big can this business get? How fast is it growing? Whether there's any IP that you can think of. What is the business model? How capital efficient is that business model? And the reason why I'm talking about capital efficiency of the business model is great to grow, but if you're not a very capital efficient business, then I'm going to be diluted, severely diluted as an early stage investor. So that is something that I need to think about. And of course, as I'm thinking about early stage investing, there's a lot of risk involved. And so what is the core focus for me? It's the team. So, and it's about my perception of the team's ability to execute and figure out solve problems.
I could not disagree with that. Asha, given the time we have, I just want to thank you very much for you being here with us today. And just one quick comment. What are the type of companies would like to, should they want to reach out to you, what are the type of companies are you seeking for today?
So, well, great question, but sorry, I just want to, because I'm really passionate, I just want to say that, just on the last point about valuation, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, in the region, I find that, a lot of founders lately have been looking at US multiples and European multiples and saying how we demand these multiples. And that is a challenge for us as regional VCs, because the regional market is a smaller market. So typically when you look at a US multiple, you kind of have to provide some multiples or a discount to that multiple when you're thinking about that, because it's a function of the size of the market. Sorry, I just wanted to say that. So look, if you're a founder that's looking to, has found a white space, has found a problem that you want to solve, and it's a problem that not a lot of people in this region are solving, but you need a lot of help and support. That's interesting to us. We like to get our hands dirty. We like to roll up our sleeves. We've invested in several companies recently, including Dowel, FlexPay, Shadoof, Meltu, Simplify, a bunch of other companies in the region. And all of them, we have a hands-on approach with them. If you want references, talk to the founders of Uniphonic. They're now at $85 million ARR. I've been working with them since they were at $8 million ARR. And, they can probably tell you a lot more about, how I roll up my sleeves and my partners. Sorry, I took more of your time, but
no problem. Actually, as always, it's been a true pleasure having you on board, and thank you for your insights, and wish you all the success in your fundraising. I'm afraid that's the time we have today, and I want to thank once again Asha Siddiqui, Karim Dakki, as well as gosh, I'm losing her name, Talin Wahanian, and for joining us today. And next week on Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. UK time, we shall have another 3 founders sharing their insights. All the best. Thank you very much.